looking at EBITDA, you'd probably be looking at 1.5 to 2. It wouldn't be a lot.
Oh wow. Oh, okay.
Yeah, really cheap. Because they would be distressed. It was.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They
Fire
were
sales.
looking to sell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in some cases you might do it as a pre-pack, although that's less and less popular these days.
Hmm.
But no, it would be. It would. It'd be. That you have. They'd have to. The target would have to be of the size to warrant doing it. If it was a couple of million in turnover, then you'd say it's not worth the bother. But no, the price would not be a lot unless there was somebody else who's interested in it, which there very rarely was.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And that compares. I mean, that's obviously immediately accretive. I think I have a sort of 5 times multiple in my head for the initial Carlisle deal, the initial acquisition.
5.5. Yeah.
5.5. Yeah.
So obviously then
Maybe while we're just
Cool.
while we're just on the Carlisle piece, the other thing I sort of wanted to understand, either from Carlisle's perspective, if they're going to find a way to sort of take this position out and take the structure out, or if lenders end up owning it, how lenders would end up exiting. What is the sort of? Were there any thoughts while you were there around what the exit ends up looking like? Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Carry on. Yeah.
Well, I just there was a sort of the kind of aborted process in 2014, or there was some press around the process in 2014, which I think had a few PE houses mentioned and an IPO mentioned. I don't know how feasible that is now. There's also now it seems to be another kind of strand of strategic thinking around the OEMs buying into these sorts of players. They've certainly been buying into some of the kind of Gets and the Lifts of the world, and whether that's a way for in a world of sort of declining car ownership, whether that's a way for you to sort of service your kind of, I guess, your pipeline of manufacturing that the OEMs have.
I think that's the most likely, and I mean, I don't know for certain, but that's what I've sort of heard on the grapevine. But that is probably the only form of exit, and it would be a hope that something like BMW or Renault or somebody that hasn't made one of those, sort of acquisitions would be interested in that one, given that it's a sizable fleet, and therefore that you're sort of buying into I don't know, a regular order of, I don't know, let's say over 1,000 vehicles a year, and growing. So in terms of other PE houses owning it, I can't see that. I mean, the market, as you described, the market would be. There's a floor that's got to be reached. Whether that's been reached yet is debatable. But it's not going to be a growth business. So it's never be a growth hold. Whether it can, I mean, it is a fairly cash generative business. So, when the loan is up in 2020, isn't it? I think that's when unless it's been renegotiated.
No,
but
that's right.
I mean, I suppose that is one of the pluses that business does have in terms of it does generate cash, and therefore it can afford to.
It does throw off cash, it really does. I mean, it's just the capex is just the sort of IT systems, is it broadly?
Yeah, no, it would. Yes, that would be IT systems, and how much you have to keep plugging into that. Yeah,
and then you kind of your vehicle purchases and disposal sort of washes its face with your lease drawdowns and repayments. There's a sort of slightly, you could argue anyway, for the last few years, there's been a sort of persistent acquisitions cash outflow line, which is sort of, maybe to kind of to help sort of paper over some of the lack of organic growth, but that's fine. That's not a huge number anyway. It does throw off cash even in a world where it's sort of, job numbers are down year on year. So it's definitely an interesting one. The other point I wanted to raise, I wonder whether you could help. From the docs that I've got access to, it's not easy to piece together exactly what played out with some of the debt buyback and the covenant reset, which I think may happen sort of under your while you were there. I don't know whether you could just. No, they didn't. Okay.
No, it didn't. Yeah, no. Well, there was an additional drawdown on the debt, and not a new agreement done, but it was varied, but quite heavy. But the covenant reset, I wasn't part of that. I'd gone effectively by the end of 2014. I don't know when they did that.
Right. Yeah, fine.